Morning, everyone. I just wanted to say a few words to kind of introduce some of the music today and one of our fantastic soloists we have with us. Darren is, I know Darren in many ways. Darren is a current student at the Eastman School of Music where I've worked with him. He's also one of the engagement artists with Finger Lakes Opera, which is another place I work with him, and now I work with him here. But I bring that up because you'll notice Finger Lakes Opera's name also on the selections with Darren, and it's because we've started this really, really wonderful community outreach program in the last couple of years called Come Sunday, where it's Finger Lakes Opera's commitment to the community where they pay to have professional singers come into churches throughout the community at no cost to the churches. So that's been a really wonderful project to be a part of, and thank you, Elizabeth, for kind of heading that up. So we're really lucky to have them providing Darren's talent for us this morning. I also wanted to say a couple words about the pieces you'll hear. They're all from Vaughan Williams' 5 Mystical Songs today, and they're texts written by George Herbert that he wrote in 1633. So while it's very antiquated text, they're also really, really beautifully progressive at the same time. So you'll notice in the postlude that our singer is having a conversation with love itself. So I hope you enjoy these selections throughout the service.
To strew thy way. Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin Wilson. I use he, him pronouns, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this service at the First Universalist Church of Rochester. If this is your first time this morning at our church, we especially welcome you and thank you for making it to our worshiping community. We're so glad you've joined us. Please remain after for coffee hour in the Clara Barton Lounge behind us through either of these two doors or online in the same Zoom link. There's also a visitor's form on the back of your order of service. We ask you to fill that out so that we can offer you a welcome beyond what we can this Sunday morning. There's also a link in the chat to fill out online. If you have a big joy or sorrow in your heart this morning, we invite you to write it in the notebook here on the chancel or in the chat on Zoom before the chalice is lit. So now is a good time to do that. A couple of announcements. This Friday, May 1st, there is going to be a rally at Washington Square Park behind us at 5:30 for labor rights and more. And following that, we will be hosting dinner church here at 6 o'clock in our lounge. So join us for that. The next day, Saturday, May 2nd, is our spring work day. So from 9 to noon, we'll be here fixing up things. Come join us and lend us a hand. Thursday, May 28th, we're already looking for volunteers for our free breakfast for unhoused folks, along with clothing and access to other services from 10 to 11:30. So if you're interested, see Bill Shubmel or Elizabeth Osta when she gets back. And lastly, the annual picnic is right around the corner, June 21st, so don't forget. Before we take a moment to turn towards our neighbor, let's say hello to our online community and worshiping folks. Let's wave towards the Progress Pride flag in the back there where the camera is. If you're online, feel free to pop a greeting into the chat. We're so happy you're here with us this morning. And for all of us here in person, let's take a moment to greet each other and say hello.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Reverend Eileen, she, her. I'm your minister. And I have a quick announcement before we sing our first hymn. An announcement from both me and our music director, Brock. And first things first, everyone's okay. No one's leaving. Okay? I mean, we're all leaving eventually. That is the way of things, and maybe why we come to church. But right now, that's not the announcement. The announcement is this, is that our beloved music director, Brock, is here most every Sunday, and this is his third job. I don't know if y'all knew that. It is the smallest of his jobs in hours and in financial compensation. And that's a lot for a person. And he needs to be doing less. And so, remember how I said nobody's leaving? He's gonna be doing less. We're gonna rethink our music ministry into a program with 2 staff roles. One staff role, which will be doing more, and one staff role, which will be doing a little less, and that will be Brock. So we're gonna be hiring for a new staff position for these 2 music ministry positions for the upcoming fiscal year, which starts July 1st. We're going to be hiring as soon as possible, and then we will see how it goes. To have 2 musicians here with us, working together and working with the other religious professionals on staff, and to give Brock a little reprieve from a lot of jobs, honestly. And after we get a new person on board in the month of September, we're also going to give Brock a sabbatical for 3 months, because this is his 9th year with us, and people in a creative work need some, yeah, right? Need that time of refreshment and rejuvenation to reinvigorate those creative skills. And so Brock's going to be on sabbatical. We're going to plan for a sabbatical from October through December. And then that gives the new musicians some time to find their footing also, and find where they fit in here.
So I just wanted to kind of publicly say thank you to all of you, because the hard thing about working so much is I really, really love all of my jobs. So it's a really good problem to have. So when I came to Reverend Eileen, it took some creative thinking to say, how can I still do this in a way that keeps me connected to you all and this job that I love so much, but can be more sustainable. And I'm so grateful to her and the board for finding a plan with me to make this work. And I think it's really exciting, actually, that I'll still be here, I'll still be a part of the music making, but we'll just bring someone else into this wonderful community and keep growing. So I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you.
I feel I can very confidently speak for all of us when I say we are the grateful ones. And I invite you now to rise with all that gratitude in your heart, to rise in body or in spirit here or at home and sing together our opening hymn, number 1 in your gray hymnal, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Williams, and I'm your worship associate this morning, and I use he, him pronouns. When I was a newbie in this congregation 26 years ago, I clipped the affirmation of faith from the weekly order of service and taped it on my computer console so that I could read it every day. Having been brought up Catholic, reciting prayers from rote, I thought of the affirmation of faith as a prayer. It took me a while to get that it's actually our Bible. Just 60 words, all we need to know to live good lives are words to live by. About 9 years after signing the book in 2002, I had a very long, tiring day. I was preparing a house that Carol and I owned with our daughter to put it up for sale. It was August. It was hot, it was humid, and I had toiled most of the day painting and cleaning. I finally went home, wet from sweat and stinky. Exhausted, I took a shower and settled into my chair to unwind and watch some mindless TV. I was home alone at the time. Turning on the TV, I found the movie Oh God. Some mindless, funny, and entertaining for me to spend my time. The premise of Oh God, played by George Burns, the premise is that God, played by George Burns, comes to a skeptic grocery store manager named Jerry Landers, played by John Denver, to go out and tell people that God exists and that things on earth can work out well, but it's up to the people to make it happen. At some point, Jerry, still skeptical, befuddled, frustrated, and confused, says to God, "How do I know which building to enter to find the right path, to spread the right words? There are temples and churches and synagogues and fellowships. How will I know when I've found the right faith, the right building?" God's reply, "Jerry, you're not getting this. You're looking too hard. The heart is the temple of all that is true." Let me repeat that. The heart is the temple of all that is true. I quickly got a pencil and paper and wrote that down because I thought, oh my, God is a Unitarian Universalist. So what did I take away from those words? I thought of the line in our short Bible, "The quest for truth is its sacrament." What has being a UU given to me? The keys to the temple. The keys that open my temple, my heart, to living my faith, all 60 words of it. The keys that open the door to my temple to let in love and let go of guilt and shame and fear from my faith background. The keys to live my life openly and authentically. Today, if you haven't already done so, take the keys that we receive here each week, here in this liberal faith, this sanctuary, this congregation, and open your hearts, your temples, to the love, truth, and service that we affirm each week here in fellowship and in faith. Come, let us worship together. Will Adam Duran please come forward to light the chalice? As we light the chalice in the church and in your own homes, please join me in our chalice lighting words spoken in unison. May we be a people of welcome, here to grow in heart and mind and spirit, and may we reach out to serve our family. Please rise now in body or in spirit for our affirmation of faith. Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the source and meaning of life. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all. I invite you now into the spiritual practice of generosity. The good work of this church is funded by gifts that you give. Part of that good work is the ministry of the garden team. This group cares for a flower and vegetable garden on the south side of the building. Would any members of the garden team please raise your hands here or online? Welcome. We are grateful for your contributions to the life of this church and the needs of the world. Let us give with grateful hearts this morning. Please place your offerings in the offertory basket or give online by scanning the QR code on the laminated sheet in your pew. This is also a great time to place visitors' forms in the offertory basket. For folks online, please click the link in the chat to give to First Universalist Church. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Come my way, my truth, my life. a way as gives us breath, such a truth as ends our strife, such a life as killeth death. Come, my light, my feast, my strength, such a light as shows a feast, such a feast as mends in length, such a strength as makes his guest. Come, my joy, my love, my heart, such a joy as none can move, such a love as none can part, such a heart as joys in love.
I'd love to invite forward anyone who wants to come up for our story blanket. And have you ever watched a show or a movie that ends on a cliffhanger? And you're like, no! You can't do that to me! I can't wait! A week, or a year, or a night. Well, sometimes never! You never get that resolution. But, so today, our story is about the original chief, queen of cliffhangers, Scheherazade. So in this story, which is sometimes also called the Arabian Nights, you saw this. So this has been interpreted so many times into operas and plays and movies, because it's just a timeless tale. So I have to remember the name of the king. Cruel King Shahryar was not always a cruel king, but the problem was Shahryar was heartbroken. Shahryar's first wife, he fell in love with her, and then she was unfaithful. He found out that she did not love him like he loved her, and it broke his heart. And from there on, she left, and he decided he could not trust or respect any women ever. Have you ever had that experience with one bad experience with a dog or a person or a bird, and you're like, never again will I wear a green sweater or own anything red that goes in the laundry, because it turns everything pink. Yes. But he had to get married. And so he decided, sure, the law says I'll get married, but the next morning, off with her head. I'll have her executed. So I'll not have time to have feelings for her, and she won't mess with me, and it'll just, I'll meet the rule of the law, and then I'll kill her. That's a bit extreme for being heartbroken, but it happens. And now, and so he's going through, and the king's advisor almost all the time is having to get this line of women ready to marry him, knowing that they're going to be executed the next morning. Of course, nobody wants to do that, and there comes this point where there's not many candidates left, because they've either been executed, or they've left the country, or they're in hiding, because they know what's up. It comes that the advisor has 2 daughters. The elder is Scheherazade, and she says, "Marry me to the king." And of course, the advisor's like, "No, this is a bad idea. Don't do this." She's like, "Somebody has got to do something, because someday it's going to be me, and eventually it'll be my younger sister." So she marries the king, and the night of their wedding, she says, I always tell my little sister a bedtime story. Would you mind if she comes in so I can tell her her bedtime story?" And he agrees to that, and he just happens to listen in. Because, when you hear a good story in the other room, even if you're doing dishes and someone has it on the TV, you're going to start wandering over there. And what's that?
I usually like to lay down next to my baby boy's door while my stepmom is singing his song because I like her voice.
Oh, yes, exactly. When you hear a great story or you like someone's voice, you wanna listen. You wanna come on in. Well, so she's telling this story to her little sister. The king comes on in because he likes it, and she tells this story all night long. And just as the sun is coming up, it's morning at the cliffhanger, at the absolute moment of tension in the story. "I guess we'll have to try to finish tomorrow night." And the king says, "This isn't how I usually do things, but I will let you live one more day so you can finish this story tomorrow night." And the next night, her little sister comes in and she finishes that story, but of course, very wheedly-waddly weaves it into another story. Another story with more twists and turns and adventure and excitement. And just as the sun is coming up, I guess we can't finish tonight. Right at that amazing cliffhanger moment, she was an artiste. I guess we can't finish tonight. Maybe tomorrow night. And this goes on and on for 1,001 nights. In case you have to check your math like I had to, that is 2.7 years. When did she sleep? That was my big question. You're telling stories all night long. When are you sleeping, girl? And how amazing is that? And over the process of those 2.7 years, over time, not only is the king affected by these stories, and they teach him about love and trust and what it means to be a human being and a leader, and he comes to trust and respect and even love Scheherazade. And so it comes the time that he says, "You don't need to keep going." I mean, you can. I certainly don't mind. These are my favorite stories. But I'm not going to execute you in the morning if you don't have me on a cliffhanger. And they went on to rule the kingdom together in mutual respect. Isn't it amazing how a story can change who we are? I often love looking at people's bookshelves in their households. And you'll find books like these over the course of your life that I'm like, this book changed my life. And even I have one that I just brought up for my kiddo. I read in 3rd grade, and I'm like, this book changed everything. It blew my mind open. And stories will be like that. They will transform us. And hopefully, like for the king, they will heal us. They will heal our hearts, and they will break our hearts, but in the way that helps us to be more open and more compassionate and closer to our best, most loving, most just selves. Thank you for listening to our story today. Please join me in singing our doxology, while those of us who like will go up for children's worship, or you can stay with your grown-ups. And it's so good to have you with us today. Right, one hand. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Friends, I invite us now into our time of sharing joys and sorrows of our gathered community. If you would like to, you can place your hand over your heart to be able to listen from a more heart-centered place. We know so much is going on in the world today, and if you have sorrows or joys to share on behalf of our national or global community, you are welcome to do so today and always. And as Tom places stones into a bowl, I will read aloud the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. Our joys and our sorrows are abundant this morning. We share with John the joy that a dear cousin and their home are okay, nearly missed by a tornado which came only blocks away. We share joy with Catherine and so many of others that Brock will continue to be connected with us in our music ministry. We share sorrow and distress at multiple arrests at the Ridgeland facility as protesters gathered there to demand the release of animals being used for research. We share concern for Dolores Bustamante, who is a local woman detained by ICE during a routine immigration check-in after having lived here in compliance with immigration law for decades. We share a joy with Ann Rohde to see longtime church member and historian Karen featured in the UU World Online. We share joy with Rory and Ewan, who ran their first ever 5K today, and even more joy that they got to have donuts and Gatorade. We share joy with Tom, who is cheerful about having moved to a new apartment. We share in the celebration of Marty's birthday. And we share our sorrow and concern with Marcy, whose friend and neighbor of 24 years died this morning. She was ready, but Marcy's daughter was her companion and is filled with sorrow. So we share our prayers and our sorrow with them. And today we also share in a community ritual to honor the many joys and sorrows we bring into this space, whether we read them aloud or keep them in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. In a moment, those who are here in person are invited to come forward and drop stones into the bowl. If you need to remain seated, you can raise your hand and someone will come to you with a bowl and some stones to drop. And if you're joining us online, we invite you to drop a heart emoji into the meeting chat instead of a stone. Let us join in this collective ritual of honoring the joys and sorrows of us all now. Now the circle of our care is drawn larger. May it increase forevermore. I invite you now into a time of pastoral prayer and centering, followed by a few moments of shared silence. And as always, by shared silence, we mean the absence of grown-ups talking to one another so that we can listen more closely for the sounds of life. So let us take a deep breath, turn inward, and begin to listen now. Let us close our eyes. Let us close our eyes and let our imagination weave a prayer this morning. Let us close our eyes and imagine a world that is real and not real yet. A world where we do not go to sleep afraid of what new horror might await us when we wake each morning. A world where we have all that we need to survive in it. A world where survival is not the only measure of success, but where we have the space to consider delight, abundance, liberation. Let our imagination conjure up and call out for a world where our grandchildren's grandchildren are held in the gentle embrace of community. A world where the only fires burning are the candles lit in reverence, the hearth fires of warm welcome, the bright beacons of justice. Let us close our eyes and imagine such a world. Let us make this prayer together, and then let us weave it into song and shape it into story until it comes alive. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. Our hymn of contemplation this morning is "'Tis a Gift to be Simple." My older child, Rory, turned 10 last month. And to celebrate his birthday, we hosted a Dungeons & Dragons game with 4 friends and 1 little brother. This is a shared interest of mine and Rory's, but typically, when I play that type of game, it's with other adults. The version that we allowed to unfold with a room full of 4th graders and 1 6-year-old, most of whom were not familiar with the game, was pure and delightful chaos. I promise I'm not here to convert you to Dungeons & Dragons, but I will tell you the story. Let me give a little background in case your only familiarity with the game is from watching Stranger Things or remembering the satanic panic of the 1980s. Dungeons & Dragons, or D&D for short, is one of many different types of role-playing games where participants all embody a character. Often they're mythological or imaginary creatures, and there are elements of fantasy like magical worlds and abilities involved. It's more collective storytelling than a traditional game. And indeed, there's a person generally in the role of game master or storyteller who functions like a narrator of this collective story. They set the scene, but the participants, acting as the characters they've chosen to embody, create a story together by deciding how to act and react. Usually there are also dice involved to add an element of fate, or chaos, if you prefer. So I was in the storyteller role in the room of fourth graders, and I had outlined a story arc for the group with what I thought was just enough nuance for children, where they'd encounter two characters asking for help, both of whom called themselves victims, and both of whom functioned more like villains when you took a closer look. The kids would have to figure out that truth and defeat both of them, or suffer the consequences of not figuring it out. Those were the possibilities I was ready for. But it's collaborative storytelling, so I wasn't the only one in charge of how things went. They did realize that these villains were not the helpless victims in need of saving that they were claiming to be, and they could have defeated them. They had powerful warriors among them, a very magical wizard, a sneaky rogue, but they didn't choose to fight with swords or magic. They didn't sneak, they didn't plot. You want to know what they decided to do? They called on their bard, the musician, played by the little brother. He's going to play the most beautiful song in the world, they told me. It will be an epic tale of goodness and hope, and he will change their hearts, and they'll both be saved from a life of evil. You can probably take away my Universalist credentials right now, because I did not see that coming. I thought I knew the truth of the story that I wrote, that these characters were asking for help and deserved to be defeated, but the kids imagined a truer truth, that everyone can be saved if you sing the right song. Sometimes a game is more than just a game, you know? Sometimes a story is both utterly fantastical and absolutely true. Sidebar, y'all remember cigarettes? We are going somewhere with this, I promise. You gotta trust me. My kids refuse to believe that my childhood memories of the 80s include a world filled with a haze of smoke. They are shocked to hear that grown-ups used to smoke in restaurants and offices, airplanes, and the teacher's lounge where I went to school. They are growing up in a world where smoking is quite rare, especially in public, and it's by design. We really are going somewhere with this. In 1795 was the first time that scientists, which were barely a thing back then, noticed that the use of pipe tobacco was linked to cancers of the mouth. 231 years ago. In 1939, smoking was formally linked to lung cancer. And by 1950, we had piles of peer-reviewed studies that decisively showed that cigarette smoke was a major cause of many cancers. And do you know what happened to the rates of smoking in 1795, 1939, 1950? Yeah, they went up. They sure didn't go down. Researchers put out press releases, the Surgeon General issued a warning, public health officials conducted generations of informational campaigns about the risks of smoking. We all knew the facts of the impact of cigarette use. And you know what we did with those facts? Statistically, nothing. Kept on smoking. It was only after we made it uncomfortable to smoke, after we as a society decided to make it very difficult to buy cigarettes, to steal cigarettes, and to use them in public places, that we saw rates of smoking drop significantly. So significantly that my children don't believe I could possibly have grown up in a haze of smoke. Facts did not change our behavior. Discomfort changed our behavior. Facts didn't matter to us the way that feelings did. We would like to think of ourselves as a people of truth, by which we mean a people of fact. We would like to think of ourselves as logical, reasonable beings to whom facts matter a great deal. And I'm sorry to say it, but we really never have been. As much as we would like to believe otherwise, facts don't matter a whole lot to us. Not really. Not in our everyday decision-making. Most of our choices, whether we think they are or not, are made from our guts and not our intellect. Our brains are not really built for pure logic, unadulterated fact-based behavior, if such a thing as an unadulterated fact could ever be known. And we on the left are losing our minds a little bit over the facts, are we not? I'm with you, yeah. Over agreement on an objective truth. And I promise you, I also get incensed over climate denials and revisionist history and conspiracy theories and AI propaganda and outright malicious lying that characterizes our political landscape. But shouting facts into the void is not winning the war of truth. We, like the kids at the D&D table, need to figure out that that is the wrong war to be fighting in the first place. Because even when we are right about the facts, we are vastly overestimating how much facts matter, even to ourselves. We can know for certain that something is killing us, and we'll keep doing it anyway if it feels good until it doesn't. Fascism feels good. It isn't reasonable or logical, but it feels good. And we will do the thing that is killing us if it feels good until it doesn't, until there is something that comes along that feels better. We can argue all day long over what is factual, but what actually governs most of our moral choices is not what is factually right, but what feels righteous. And I get why we have the impulse to fight this war, especially those of us in this religious tradition that has held reason as a central value for hundreds of years. But the way that we have uplifted reason, by which we usually mean the discernment of objective truth, has not always been realistic to the way actual humans function, nor has it been in the service of spiritual depth. Let us also pause to remember that historically the arbiters of what is reasonable have always been wealthy, straight white men. And I think all of us can pretty confidently say they don't have a monopoly on truth. Because of course, truth and reason are not interchangeable. Truth is not just a series of facts. The feelings that actually drive human decision-making are not less true than whatever is objectively factual, if objective fact is something possible for us to discern, unclouded by our feeling. Surprising no one, after all the Dungeons and Dragon talk, one of my most beloved authors is J.R.R. Tolkien, and he is credited with converting one of my most tolerated authors, C.S. Lewis, to Christianity. I'm not here to convert you to Christianity, but I will tell you the story. They were friends and colleagues at Oxford in the early 20th century. Tolkien was a devout Catholic, and Lewis, when they met, was a rather staunch atheist. He found the idea of God to be a silly fantasy, unmoored from the concrete facts apparent in the world. The logic of God had fallen apart for Lewis in his youth. It was unreasonable, he figured, to believe in a truth without evidence. Both of them were storytellers and story listeners. They were invested in reviving ancient mythologies and creating new ones. And as they walked together one evening, the story goes, Tolkien reportedly pushed Lewis on the importance of story and myth in the understanding of truth. Story is the organ of meaning, he's quoted as saying. Doesn't imagination, Tolkien insisted, bring us to a much deeper understanding than logic or reason? Doesn't a fictional story open us up? Let us glimpse something that transcends evidence, something truer than true. And C.S. Lewis was converted. I'm not here to convert you to theism, but I do hope you stay connected with the importance of understanding something truer than true, something more than a collection of facts, whether you call that truth God or not. I am here to convert you to the idea that imagination is a way of knowing truth, perhaps a deeper and more valuable truth than we can ever reason our way into. Reason might serve our individual needs, but empathy is the fruit of imagination. We learn as children how to embody the needs and feelings of another in play, and imagination is the lifelong muscle of connection to others. Imagination is the way to the truth of spiritual discernment, It is the inner place of knowing that we give our attention to. When we say things like spiritual deepening or turning inward or prayer, by which we actually mean play. I remind us on Sundays that by silence we mean the absence of grown-ups talking to one another, because children don't generally need silence to relearn what they haven't yet forgotten, how to reach that creative force within that is the space of divinity, the space of all our growth and transformation, the space from which we reach out and belong, the space where we can recognize what is truer than true. Imagination is always and only the vehicle to a better world. We need more than to look at the facts of this world and say, this doesn't work. Our job is to convert folks to a bigger truth than that, to be able to imagine a world that is better, and then to tell the story of that imagined truth, to sing a song of the world as it ought to be. We are called to do so much more than fight the war of facts. We are called to be Shaherazads, transforming hearts with story, to be the children at the game table, discovering the fact that there are villains here and imagining they are worth saving. Our job is to sing the song of belonging that is truer than true, true enough to transform every heart. May it always be so, and amen. And would you rise in your body or your spirit and sing together our closing hymn, number 1008 in the Teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. I invite you to remain standing if you already are, as Tom extinguishes our chalice flame this morning. And let us read together the words printed on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. And as we close the service this morning, I invite you to place a hand over your heart. If you're joining us online, I ask you to turn your settings to gallery view and look upon the faces of those here with us today. And for those of us in the room, let's take a moment to look around at everyone gathered. And I offer as a benediction these words from Susan Van Dresser. Let us sing the magic of imagination, by which we know one another and learn the lives of eras gone by. Let us sing the magic of creation, by which we build the world of our soul and teach its wisdom to others young and old. Let us sing the magic of our lives together, holding and shaping by the movement of breath from heart to lung that all new life is to come. Amen. Everyone is invited to join us for coffee hour immediately after the service right behind me through these doors in the Clara Barton Lounge. You are welcome to bring your coffee back here to the sanctuary if you need a little more space or a little more quiet, or in the current Zoom room. We hope to see you there.
Unkind, ungrateful, oh my dear, I cannot look on thee. Love took my hand and smiling did reply. Shame go where it doth deserve.